Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to yet another episode of Undisputed Games, which is definitely not a weekly podcast at all, but it's fine because in this podcast we talk about video games, and today in this episode, we, including my guest, we're going to talk about WWE 2K22. And before we start on that particular topic, let me introduce to you my guest, and he is HealPleaseHeal, one of my favorite people to watch on Twitch because he streams on Twitch. He is really entertaining, one of the most craziest guys I've ever met, and gives a smile to my face, to everybody's face. That's how he heals, because he believes that laughter is the best way of healing everybody. And so yes, here he is in this podcast, and thank you so much, man, for joining today.
Oh, that's fine. I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut. You can keep going. I'm good with that.
So thank you guys for watching. This was it.
And that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
How you doing, man? Thank you so much for that intro. I appreciate it. And thank you much for having me on.
Hell
Fun,
yes.
It's enjoyable. See, we talk about this game. Gonna drive me insane.
Yes. So we both, interestingly, we both have played a lot of wrestling games. I remember I played from SmackDown versus Raw a little bit later. You have played obviously way longer. I think Here Comes the Pain, and even games before that, I believe. Not so sure.
WCW versus NWO and 64, man. They got No Mercy from there, and from there I just kind of expand. I have all the games in up front or back there somewhere. Ignore the jungle, apparently, but yes.
But I
started from N64, man. I was way back in the day. No Mercy was probably one of my more favorite games because of how like the story arc goes, how it was kind of like one of those tree branches stories where you could just do a decision. If you win or lose, then you go into a different branch of story, which was actually really cool, really fantastic. I love that concept. Don't know why we didn't continue with that concept. But yeah, that was just one of those things. I hate the career modes or the story modes or anything where like you have to win, and if you don't do this specific thing, then it just restarts you from the very beginning of the match, where it's like, why do you hate me?
Yeah, it's just like I think they just went towards like, oh, let's do a story mode, and let's do how like usual story games does. If you don't do this particular checkpoint, well, you restart once again. But it doesn't really work.
It became linear.
Yeah,
it became linear.
Became too linear. Yeah. Like that does not really work here. This is not a single player story game.
In my honest opinion, if you have a wrestling game and you're in a match, you have two resolves, either victory or three, either victory, loss, or draw.
Yeah.
Like it's one of these things when you go into a story mode and you're like, yeah, you have to win. And if you don't win and you keep losing, well, then you suck and please turn off this game. It's like, oh, there's been so many times where I played the story mode and there's just one scenario I just can't beat. And I'm like, oh my God. Or I just refuse to beat or cannot beat for the time being. I have to stop and a day later come back, do it once, I beat it. I'm like, oh, for the love of God. It just eats away at you mentally.
Yeah, sometimes the objectives are way too weird where you have to submit the person to win, but if you just win by pinfall, like you lost. Like what? But I won the match. Excuse me.
That's ridiculous. Like get his head in red damage and then put him in the ring and then make him submit while the referee's not looking. Then get over there and hit the referee over the head with a steel belt and go back inside and go over there and do push-ups on this guy's chest. And you're like, what is happening? What is the push-up button? I don't know.
Yeah, you can easily say how WWE games or wrestling games have gone so far.
Well, in general, wrestling is an opera in a way. You know what I mean? It's story related. Of course, there's a lot of high flying, a lot of stuff that makes your eyes go all over the place. And it's just how it is. It's showmanship. You know what I mean? But it's just some of those games are ridiculous.
And then that's why now that WWE 2K22 is coming out, even though like the thing is like when WWE games had, I think, two developers, I think THQ was working on them before, and then 2K took over. So when 2K took over, the games kind of like went way on the downgrade. Like a lot of people started not exactly liking the game. 2K20 was a disaster, as everybody knows. It failed on every way possible. And then
I'm sorry, what was that? What game? I don't know that one, unfortunately. I think that one was the one that was erased out of my memory. 2 years without wrestling games. Okay.
It's interesting how like people are still asking, is 2K20 good? Like, why are you
so
asking?
like so here's my take on it, okay? So I haven't played 2K20. I've only seen visuals. I've only seen people talk about their experiences. One of my moderators, Sean, he
Mm,
had a situation where he was developing E-Federation. He had to restart 3 times because his creative wrestlers just masks got deleted.
yeah.
No reason why. So there's a lot of stability issues with the game. However, I think some of that has been addressed and it is a bit more playable because I'm still seeing people online doing full eFeds with
Mm,
2K20. So it's not that it's not usable. I think there's just some stability issues there that needed to get addressed, and obviously the glitching issues needed to get addressed.
we
And
don't
that
want
was
to talk
the
about it.
issue when you had, yeah, like that was the issue when you had Yucks back out of the development of that game halfway through.
Mm,
So then 2K had to take over and majorly do it themselves. They weren't really aware of how to set everything up because they never really implemented a game like that
yeah.
before that they developed. So I can understand why there was a lot of issues then. I'm looking at the new game with high hopes. Like, you've learned from your experiences, you started from scratch, you have a new engine, everything has been revamped, everything is now different in comparison to how the old games were.
Mm,
That could be a plus or that could be a detriment to the franchise. And I know, like, from what we've heard, is that this is like one of the final times WWE's given them this opportunity. If 2K doesn't deliver on this one, they're done with 2K.
yeah.
So a lot online here.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, now that they know what to do, they've learned from 2K20. I think at that, I don't know how the timeline for them was and if they had enough time to work on 2K20. But regardless, they had a lot of time to work on 2K22. So that is why I think the excitement is there because they showed us a lot of things like the GM mode is coming, which a lot of people wanted. Apart from that, the creation suite is looking completely different, which I believe should have been the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, but two takes on that. One, GM mode is coming, and I'm very proud of that because I'm very happy with that because that's just something that wrestling fans were complaining when it first got taken off from the games,
Yeah.
anyways. Um, though I have some issues with that first and foremost. Secondly, the creator wrestler, we only saw the prerequisites for the creator wrestler, where you can
Yeah.
pick the size of the wrestler and a pre-build for them. I don't know what's after the fact.
Exactly.
I don't know if that's a template where you just kind of develop the characters and then after the fact you can fine tune. My biggest fear that I have, and I really hope it's not like this, is that it's a template that you can just assign different type of clothes to the guys or the people, maybe adjust the looks here and there, and then move from there. I,
Yeah.
I, I don't think it's like that. That's not how it's always been. Like, creator wrestlers, you always have fine detailed creation suites on there. I'm not going to make a big opinion of the game unless I see more. They showed
Mhm.
us little spurts, and that makes sense. Very early access to the game to kind of show little tidbits here and there to get us excited. But I'd like to see more. It's a good start. I'd
Yeah.
like to see more. January
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was in doubt because we just saw the templates. I'm like, what if the templates are there and then we don't get any customizations after that? I feel like you selected this person, maybe changed the face different, maybe change the body type. Like there's 5 body types, torso types. Let's say you select from either 5. That's it, and you move along, and then you see the clothes. So I don't want that because that is no customization at all.
Dude, I don't think anyone wants that. They
Yeah.
want customization. And like I said, it put like 99.3% chance it's there. The full customization is there. We just didn't see it. So obviously, a lot of people online are saying it's like, oh, it's a templated stuff. Is it this? It's like, okay, well, we don't know.
We
And we
don't
hope
know.
it's not, because if it is, then it's kind of like dude, what are you guys doing? Like, are actual wrestling fans making this game? Like,
Yeah.
we don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing because I feel like every time since I know the WWE games are like okay every year we need to push out a WWE game, so maybe they might be holding back on something, but again we don't know because we will get to know maybe a little bit more on January. That's what they're saying that they're gonna show more details on. So hopefully then, and if not even then just the next hope is when the game comes out and then we'll get to see. But these.
February, they said they were going to introduce additional details as well. So they've obviously moved that up to January, which is good. So
Yeah.
I'm assuming either every week or bi-weekly or whatever, or every month we get a mass kind of detail that comes out. Specifically in January, I think a lot of details going to come out in January. And then from there we go into March, which is going to be the expected release. Like I'll be honest with you, if they say, or they came forward and say, hey, there's going to be a delay in the release, fine, I have no problem with that. make sure the game is perfect. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's something to look forward to. I'm still excited about the game. I want to see what they come out with. You know what I mean? Hopefully they learn from their mistakes, and with the whole brand new engine and graphics and everything, like there's a lot of high potential. You know what I mean? So.
I mean, it's the potential. There's a lot of hype, to be honest. I don't want to be too hype because I don't want to be too disappointed when the game comes out. Something I don't like, but it's still there. You can see that a lot of fans are really wanting this game to be good. And obviously, there's no problem in that because there's some good features that we've got to see. One of them that I'm a little bit, curious about is the My Faction part. I don't know what that is going to be. I know you're creating your faction. I just do not know what's next after faction.
I don't know. I don't know why. Like, so with 2K19, for example, because you and I have worked quite a bit on that game. Yeah. Like, there are aspects where you can make teams and factions and stuff like that you can utilize in your game. However, universe mode and the standard creation mode for teams and everything, that's separate. You actually have to make two teams and two different type of gameplays. So with My Faction, I don't know if it's just one of these things where they've amalgamated that, where you make one in one area and it works towards everything else in the game, with the different modes like GM mode, universe mode, standard gameplay. Like, maybe that's just what that is? Because for me, that just seems weird. I don't know why we have a My Faction. Like, it just tells me that they've just developed this where you can make a 2 to 6 man group. I'm assuming, I was just assuming numbers.
Yeah.
But like, or 3 to 6 man group, and you can just edit their animations and entries. The thing is, if you're going to do a My Faction thing, what I would very much like to see happen with the My Faction aspect is allow us to do actual more customization with the entrances. Like, allow us to individually control or assign different animations to each individual person. Because that's one of the biggest things I hated. Like, you went to do any type of team entrance and you had stuck with a bunch of templates, which is understandable. Like, it's just a lot of them are templated. You have a couple of little ones here that are the generic ones you can utilize, but then you have a lot of characters that are just misrepresented in their way that they animate, and it's like, okay, like, I would love for the My Faction. My biggest thing that I'm looking at for My Faction is seeing, okay, this is a new mode in which you're allowed to develop your faction. You're allowed to associate a certain logo to them, where then you can adjust their gear and stuff like that to adjust or assign that logo, or make them all more uniform, like uniformity around all of them, and allow us to have more control on how their animations are, how they're set and everything. Like, I want there to be a lot more control, which is my biggest thing.
I was talking about My Factions as is. Like, I do not know what that is going to be. Again, you have stated some points about customizations. I do not know how the customization is going to be. Somebody pointed out in the My Faction part where they only showed two things. There was two celebrations happening. Someone pointed out that they're the same or it's like two different animations and that's it, or like the same exact animation and they're just like changing superstars.
It's not even that. Like, one of the animations they showcased on the latest trailer that had My Faction on it, that is the exact same animation already in 2K19.
Yeah.
There's already one that's exact same. Because like I remember seeing that on one of the streams that I watched. I'm like, this is the exact same fucking thing.
Exactly.
Excuse my language. I don't know if they're swearing allowed in this podcast or no, so I apologize. But it's one of these things where I look at that and I'm like, okay, so we're already reusing past animations, which, okay, it's understandable. I know that. But it's just one of these, okay, that's a good start. Good start.
It's the problem is we do not know any more information about My Faction. No. And that says, like, if you're showing the teaser, for example, when they showed the trailer, they showed so much of GM mode. And they showed My Rise, for example, like it's kind of a career mode or whatever, or the story mode. But My Faction, they showed like so little of My Factions. Says like either it's just a mode for some reason, or it's just like, I don't know if they're still working on it. I do not know exactly, because I feel like something's missing.
Yeah, like the reason why I really don't feel that a lot was shown with it is because it's just a simple mode to create a faction or a team to be used throughout the game. So I honestly feel it's just one of these modes that's been developed that's just a universal place where you can go make one team, and that one team
can be
gets distributed to universe, to GM mode, to standard play, to whatever, you know what I mean? So that's really what I think that is, because like I said, the way that the other games worked, they were all separate and individual. You had to create a team in universe mode. You had to create a team in your standard gameplay mode. It's just they never were shared. At least that's what I've experienced in my PS4 version. So I think that's mainly what it is, and I think the reason it wasn't showcased a lot is because it just wasn't something that I think there's a lot to showcase.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people had in NBA something of my faction type is there, but I cannot even say because I don't know about it. But yeah, I don't know. I hope
I don't play any other sports games, so I couldn't tell you, boy.
Can't
they throw the ball in the hoop. That's all I know.
I don't know. Yeah, whatever. My faction is something very questionable. But other than that, My Rise is just gonna be the simple career mode. Do not know why they called it My Rise, but I think it's just my. So that's why.
Yeah, it seems that's all my now, which is fine. They've had a revamp with the product, right? Yeah. So I don't see a big issue with the my. It's like, okay, I get it. It's all mine. It's like it's a greedy damn game, is what it is. That's how it is. Making you all greedy.
But yeah, one thing that was there is all throughout these years since GM mode died. The universe mode was sort of replacing GM mode. It was a different kind of GM, not even GM mode, but it's universe mode, kind of replicating of what was happening as somebody's watches a product of WWE now. But now, since GM mode is back, I do not know what universe mode is anymore. They cannot keep it the same. Somehow, when I saw the teaser, it said Triple H was saying, "Okay, now that you have selected a superstar, get ready for your next match against AJ Styles." And I was like, why is that particular name AJ Styles mentioned? So somebody pointed out, and I watched a video where somebody was saying, it's based on you selecting one superstar, and then universe mode goes ahead with just you having that one superstar selected for the entire time. Like, let's say I selected, or I created a superstar, that's the superstar I selected, and then the universe mode is going to go around him only. So now you're going to play his matches only, or something like that. I feel that is the only way or something. I don't know.
No, man, no. So the way that I look at this, GM mode was a very high detail, much more management style of mode for wrestling, where universe mode was just kind of like a fantasy. You know what I mean? You had your fantasy bookings, you had your fantasy shows, so on and so on. It's hard to depict what main differences are going to be. Like, I know GM mode, you have more of a dollar value, you have more of a rating base, you are trying to keep people happy, you're trying to keep them popular, so on and so on.
Yeah, you're basically running a full-on show.
Yeah, universe mode, you're just more along lines of just booking a show, having the matches, doing your fantasy bookings, creating your customized show. Like, I don't know how much customization is in GM mode. And my biggest concern that I did not like, and it was immediate, I'm like, am I only allowed to book 3 matches and 2 promos?
Yes.
Like, that was my issue. It was like opening match, opening promo, mid-match, mid-promo, main event. And I'm like, okay, this is like an episode of fucking Sunday Night Heat or Velocity. Like, I don't understand why am I having 3 matches only?
Yeah.
So that's a concern right there, because I'd like to see more detail in GM mode. Again, I don't want to lay claims or make assumptions based on what we saw. You could still customize, the people who are on the match cards or promo cards. You can still spectate the matches. You can still watch. You can actually play the matches as well, from what I saw. You're obviously in contention with another show. For me, my biggest thing, and this is what I wanted, is a GM universe. That's what I wanted, where you start a universe mode, and the moment you start a universe mode, you're given options where you can enable contracts, you can enable popularity, you can enable this. Certain options you can enable when you start a universe mode, and you can go back and enable or disable it later if you want, but enable it there where you can still run your universe mode, but you're now doing the ratings with 2 shows that you've developed. You're now doing contracts with all of those people. You're now doing dollar value for those shows. So it's one of these things where I'm like, okay, I more assumed they were going to go that route where you had the GM universe mode. But splitting it up right now tells me that they haven't done a lot with universe mode. Maybe they added a couple of extra animations here and there. I hope that they made the run-ins and everything description proper, because my God, 2K19. I go in to run in to help someone, and eventually you're attacking the other guy to disqualify the other guy that I picked. I'm like, what? But that's the kind of gist that I'm seeing here is they've added the GM mode to satiate a lot of us who wanted that back, but I don't know how much has been stripped from that and how much editing we can do. Like, if it's just WWE product and you're only doing Raw and SmackDown, then I'm not playing it because that's not what I wanted in the GM mode. I want full customization. I want to be able to get my shows in. I want to be able to have my show compete against my show in ratings, or heaven forbid, if we can actually get something with other eFeds, you can generate their show on there as well and go against them and see what their shows can do. There's a lot of things you could do with it, but until we get more details on what GM mode truly provides us, it's all speculation. That's my biggest thing. It's all speculation.
That's the thing. That exactly what you said. Like, like it's only Raw and SmackDown. I like that's one of the thing. Like, only 2 shows. Can we not add our own shows? Like, because if that's gonna be, and again, if they strip some of the things, because they did show, but it's not like they didn't show enough, obviously, so we don't know. But it had all of these questions in our head, like, because I don't know if this is gonna be that GM mode, which is very much limiting, and universe mode is also going to be there, which is they're going to remove some of the things and they're going to keep some of the things, and it's just not going to work either way. I just don't know. That's where I'm like very much questionable, like, on what's happening. Even though GM mode is yay, but is it? Because there's, I don't know. It's so much confusing at this point because they did not show anything else, including those matches that you were talking about. The only 3 matches, which makes no sense. And there was no option of like adding another match or, like selecting how many matches you want to have in a show, or, I don't know.
Well, like, you look at the old GM modes. Sorry to interrupt you, but you look at the old GM modes, and you had an entire match card there. You did not have to fill in the entire match card. You literally had, I think it was 5 matches, 2 or 3 promo parts that you could do, like opening, mid, and end, and then you could just fill it as you please. You didn't have to fill out the entire thing. Yeah. So if they're taking kind of that concept, or if they're taking a concept where when you start a show, you can say, okay, you did 1 week, and we're starting back on Raw. How many matches are there going to be on this Raw? You pick the X amount of matches, X amount of promos, then you start the show, then you can assign the people to those matches and those promos. That is one way maybe they're going to work it. Regardless, otherwise, they just showed the 3. My fear is it's just going to be stuck on 3. But if it is, then that's just, again, the question of, are wrestling fans and or gaming fans of wrestling developing these games or no? Because that's not what we've been asking for. The limitation of GMO to just 3 matches and 2 promos is stupid, because how many shows, specifically WWE, well, actually, WWE product does have 3 matches sometimes because it's just freaking 2.5 hours of just promo segments. Yeah. But again, it's one of these things where there's potentially a lot more, because a report that came out a while ago said that the GM mode was very highly detailed. There's a lot in there. Again, it was somebody that was just talking based on what they saw. So, you got to just take it with a grain of salt. I don't know that was true or no, but regardless, I'm giving high hopes that there is more to it than just simply do these 3 matches and 2 promos. But we'll have to see.
Yeah, I just don't know. I hope that we get more info on it, because it's very much needed. Because if they don't share it, I don't know. I mean, if they don't share it at all, it's just that connection.
We'll get it in January. I'm assuming they're going to obviously do more videos or more live streams in January, which I'm happy about.
The question is, they should be. I don't know if they will, because they have never done this before. I don't think so. 2K has ever done, in all the video games that they've made, they have ever done some of like, if they're like doing these games, sports games, something like that. They've never done like, we're going to show you updates every week or every month. They've never done this before, even with NBA.
Yeah. True, but they've never had a franchise specifically had to skip a year because of how bad the game was prior to that. So they've never been in the same situation that they are right now. So they got to make up for 2 years of bad product. 1 year not having any product. So I think another thing too is that they have to develop a lot of hype with this game, because like I said, this is one of their last calls with WWE. They have to actually get this game to go proper. So I think that's another reason why there's a lot of momentum, a lot of hype, a lot of more content out with this game, because I'm not saying that the wrestling game is going to outsell the other ones. I don't know what their sell is. I'm not a big sports guy. I have no idea or reference for me to be able to talk about that.
Yeah.
But in regards to wrestling games, they do make a good profit. They do make good sales. They do have a lot of dedicated fan base to it. And even with WWE, you know, because we're lacking other competitive games right now in the market. You know, they are one of the more, you know, games where we can really live out our fantasies. So you see a lot of AEW generated arenas and talents developed in 2K19 and 2K20. Yeah. So, you know, that's just one of these things where we can take the WWE game, but now make it into our own. So I feel that there is a lot of hype with it. And if they're smart and they announced it, January is when they're going to come out with more information. Dude, if you're not coming out with more information in January, you're already looking in a bad spot here. Like, it just, that's the bad thing. You got to keep that hype train going.
That's the thing, because I feel like it's going to be, more information. Let's make another trailer, teaser, 30 seconds. Let's put it out there and that's it. So I don't want that. I feel like that's what's coming, you know?
It better not be, 30-second trailer. Like, just little tidbits here and there.
Like, excuse me, like, please talk proper. Like, you can like bring or use the WWE superstars, like how they did, I don't know, in 2K19 they did that, where they brought Xavier Woods and somebody, and they showed the roster, like, this is the roster and this is what's happening. You can do like a whole big conference sort of thing or show sort of thing where you can talk about everything, even including superstars, whatnot. But yeah, that's the thing that they need to talk about, because there's so many stuff that the game still they haven't shown at all. Like, for example, you know how creative video mode was one thing that I'm like, have they changed that at all or no? Because they never showcased that. I hope there is no video 1, video 2, video 3.
Oh God, I hated that. I hate all of that. Like, 2K19's video mode. Oh my lord. One, you have no idea. You got to go through every single one of them to know what the hell's going on. There's actually, and we actually had a DM reference. There's somebody who actually went through every single one of them, described, talent 1 attacks talent 2 with this, or talent 2 does this with talent 1, and talent 3 and 4 come out and do. So like, there is a site that does that. And if you guys need it, just reach out to this man. He'll give it to you. But regardless, like, that is that. If you didn't have that, you literally have to go through every single one of them yourself. Yeah. Not to mention the load times. It didn't matter if you're on console or PC or whatever. The load times is fucking horrid. I really hope you got better load times. That's all I gotta say.
So many things that we want, but yes, that creative video thing is like why somebody has to go on a forum and then see all of it, write it down, and then type it down, make a list for people to know what these cutscenes are. Why can't you not just mention with a description, or just like have cutscene and a description? How hard is that to say? And some things like you cannot change titles. If there's a World Heavyweight Championship for some reason that you cannot change.
Oh yeah, you can't.
Like, I was like, the World Heavyweight Championship was removed so many years ago. What happened? Like, why is it still there? Like, we don't get that in WWE product, but still.
Good title, man. I got to hang it on my wall, man. It's a good title.
It's a good title. It's a great title. But it's a thing, like, it's just not even in the product. They're not showing it anymore. No. Then why is it on the cutscene?
It's not even there, and yet for some reason they're like, yeah, it's still gonna be there. Well, okay.
Like that's where like customizations are not there at all. So I wish, and I hope, and I don't think so there will be, but I still hope that there is some changes to that, to entrances. Hopefully we can add more to it, because there is a lot, but when it comes to tag teams, there's not a lot.
It's not. Like 2K19 had a really good customizable, like create a wrestler mode was really great. There's a lot of things you can do with that one. They did it very well. The create an entrance was good too. The really advanced mode was fantastic. You got a lot of free details there with it you could do. 2K22, the entrances, like the tease entrances that we've seen so far, like Goldberg and Edge and Bayley, they look good. Yeah. I will say they do look good. Like the way that the camera, however the camera moves, whatever little bounce makes it look real. Sure, it looked good. The biggest thing that I loved the most is the vibrancy of the actual entrances. They were very colorful. They were very vibrant. They were very they were there. You know what I mean? Whereas I found a lot of the ones in 2K19, which they're great in their own way, but I found they're very much at a distance. Whereas this one, I feel are very close up, and they're very personal to the talent, and you see the background and everything. There's one that was done with Finn Balor, and the way that his entrance looks,
Mm,
I want to see that live, or I want to see that in the game because that
yeah.
looks fucking phenomenal. It gives you a very cinematic view and a very cinematic presence to those entrances that make them that much more important and that much more worthwhile. But it's just, again, one of these things where when and if we can customize the entrances, are we able to customize where the cameras are at
Mm,
specific times? Are we able to customize where lightings will be at specific times? Because the way that they had last time was that your stage area, ramp area, ring in area, in ring area. So
yeah.
it was like those four, or there's five. There's like a beginning thing where like you're
Yeah.
looking at the audience. But there's 5 things there that we were able to edit beforehand. Are those the same thing? Or are we looking something a little bit more different? Do we have more control over like the actual timeline? Like, will we see more snaps in place, or is this kind of like a full animation going to the ring? There's a lot of questions that I hope gets answered in January. But yeah, no, it looked good. Like I said, they're very vibrant, which is very cool. Like the Edge's entrance looks very vibrant.
Yeah.
Bailey's look phenomenal. I love the
Yeah.
yellow and black. That look very, very good. But yeah, it just depends, man. I want to see more. I need more. It's like a drug. I need more.
Yes, it is a drug for him for some reason. But the main thing that we both sort of utilize WWE 2K22 is for e-federations that we both run. HealPleaseHeal runs FWF in his Twitch. His season 3 just ended. He's gonna have his season 4 coming up. And even my own self, I have G-Sun Wrestling. My season 3 is gonna come up, so we're utilizing these games, and we're hoping that 2K22 is good enough to that so that we can utilize these games and make a good show. So again, so far we did universe mode and utilize them. We don't know obviously what's going to happen here, but again, all these concerns that we have for universe and for GM, I don't know how our shows can be built around it. The control over, if there's a lot more freedom, for example, when we do our shows, we have these promos that is, we have different type of promos that we want to do, but there's so limitations in those promos. So I don't know if there is possibility that we can expand on those promos and customize them if that's possible, and not have a stupid ratings and a war between this superstar has scored this much on his promo, while this superstar scored this much on his promo. That superstar lost the promo. Like, I don't
or at
want
least give us
that
the option to turn that off.
Yeah, it's just like, just
well, give us the option to turn that damn thing on the UI off, because it's goddamn annoying to see the progress bar.
Yeah, like,
oh my god, man.
I understand the progress, but I know it's kind of like if a person is playing and choosing a character, and then because when you go for promo as a player, you have options to select what you want to say so that you can score more. It makes sense for a player when he's or he or she is playing the game and trying to score more as a promo, as a guy who's delivering a promo. That makes sense. But when it comes to guys like us, like who does e-federations, which I believe they are also acknowledging, the 2K devs are also acknowledging, like, okay, yeah, for e-federations, there are some people who are just like, I know somebody in the community part of things, they're like, okay, e-federations are something we are keeping a lookout on. So if that taking a lookout on, I hope that there's, things like these where, some of the UIs can be taken care of or switched off, or there's, again, more customizations given. Because for a lot of people, they just want to run a show instead of just choosing one superstar and just going with it. So that's
my biggest thing specifically for e-federations is the AI. You gotta we have seen so much fuckery happening with the AI. It's ridiculous. So my biggest hope is the AI in this game is a little bit more intuitive to where their placement are in the ring. For example, 2K19. Tag team matches. I hate how they keep trying to throw somebody back in the ring when the ref is starting to count to 10, and they keep hitting an obstacle. What do they do instead of moving away from that obstacle? Keep fucking throwing them against it. Yes, that makes sense. And then the ref gets to 10, and they're both counted out. Oh my god. Or the person throws the guy back in the ring at the count of 9, and then tries to run in himself, but the 10 comes and just counts himself out. It's horrible. There's so much more I can talk about when it comes to AI. But regardless, my biggest thing is AI tweaking. I know we have the ability to tweak AI anyways, and it does work. 2K19, there's been some pretty good AI tweaking available to it, but it still doesn't adapt properly. And every single character, in a way, feels the same. You know what I mean? So I think there's one game out there called Fire Pro Wrestling that it does that very well when it comes to AI tweaking, where if the AI, for example, starts bleeding, then that person then gets a momentum boost and an energy boost, and they're more excited because they're bloodlusty. They like seeing blood. You know what I mean? You have guys where if you have one guy that's exhausted, you know, he can come back or he could still fight in an exhausted state because he has a lot of stamina to them. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of things there that Fire Pro Wrestling does very well when it comes to their AI tweaking that makes the talent feel different and compete differently, which 2K has not really done that well. I find a lot of them stuff because they have different move sets. Yeah, they have different move sets, but when it comes to like actually acting out stuff and doing stuff, like they have the personality trait sliders that you can work with, that still doesn't necessarily change a lot of how they compete in the ring. Some of them do, but it's not as prevalent. You know what I mean? But yeah, there's a lot of things they need to adjust. I've always loved the concept of having oh my god, what is the terminology? I forgot. An adaptable AI. And the one reason I want an adaptable AI is because I want to be able to do planned matches for E-Federation specific. Now, of course, that's obviously atoning to a specific genre of what these wrestling games can do. So obviously, it's not going to be implemented anytime soon. But I would love to have the ability that if you start a match, you have 3 focal points in that match that you can edit. They let the AI play it out, but in the middle of the match, a certain animation will go in because the talent's going to come into the match. At the end of the match, a certain thing is going to happen because someone's going to come out and attack. But like, no matter if this guy's doing championship match or anything, because you can't do a run-in when you have a championship match. Doesn't make fucking sense to me because, we've never had run-ins during championship matches.
Oh my god.
But like, it's an adaptable AI where if you are starting a match and you are going to watch it, you're going to just watch the match in general. You've already advocated in that match that this is how I want you to begin, the mid, the end. Just like real wrestling. Real wrestling, the guys know the beginning, the mid, and the end. The turning point is the mid. The end is obviously the end of the match. That is how real wrestling will, because I've done it for 2 years myself. That was the whole concept, is know the beginning, the mid, and the end. So let us have that and let the AI control the rest of the match. Let them call it in the ring. Similar concept to how wrestling is done. Let them call it in the ring. And then from there, you'll have your little mini animation post or a little mini animation break of something happening like, oh my God. And then it goes from there and there. Like, it's just an adaptable AI would very much help E-Federations because it helps us build stories. The biggest thing you want to try to do is build stories. Now, there's a lot of E-Feds out there who really go ham on the camera angles, on the recording, on the story build. They do go ham. However, it's also, and you can talk to them, it's a pain in the damn ass. It is a pain in the ass to get all that footage. It's a pain in the ass to get all that placement of cameras. It's just a pain in the ass. If we could find a way to make it a little bit more easier for us to develop a story and also fall in love with the game and use it more and be more consistent with it and actually, show as much as we possibly can, dude, that's phenomenal. That's fantastic. But there's just a couple of things that I would like to see implemented that I know will never get implemented. But that adaptable AI is definitely, or dynamic AI is definitely one of them.
Yeah, I mean, either that, which as I said, I don't think so it's going to be implemented because it's more like for people who are playing the game, for them, this game is made. So I don't think so it's going to be kind of implemented.
Yeah, no.
We would love to see that. That'd be a great idea, to be honest. But if that is not being implemented, then do some things like, in every game, like any game which is very big. I think the best example I would say is GTA. GTA 5 has, like, a lot of people play GTA 5. They do their role plays and stuff like that. But what people in the community do is they utilize the video mode that GTA 5 has. And it's very cool because it's so fluid. It's so simple. It's so easy to use. You can change camera angles. You can do whatever you want. And it's not at all like how WWE does. So either give players an ability to create a video in a seamless way, very less load time, and have a better video player or video loader, whatever it is. Don't give us 30 seconds of timeline and give us like however long we can. Maybe have a limit of 1 minute 20, 1 minute, whatever, but have like longer, have less load times, and give us people have the creativity to take a shot or take whatever scene we have and then change the camera angles and have our fun with it, and maybe have like some kind of cinematic, whatever we're doing, just have that way. Because a lot of people, as you mentioned, they go ham on it and they use the video mode, create a video thing, but it takes so long that even though a lot of people still do it, but it takes so long that somebody has to mod the game in order to hopefully reduce the time zone or the time zone, sorry, reduce the time load maybe, or change some things or get it much better. And they have to do it that way when the developers can just make it so much better and just take a look at how Rockstar is doing. That's the same. The parent company is the same. Take-Two Interactive has 2K and Rockstar. Why not just utilize something that Rockstar is doing and use that in the video game?
Really, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, they're the same. They're the same parent company. They are 2K Sports and Rockstar and the same parent company. So why not utilize Rockstar when they can have such a beautiful video mode? If you never checked it out, you just take a look. It's for example, photo mode in games, how you just press a button and you can have photo mode. It's just that. Press a button in the video mode, and then you just go back, rewind, take a look, record that particular portion, change the camera angle, change the blur, blah blah blah. You can change a lot of things. And that is so easy, so cool. And then there's WWE game that is load cutscene 1.
Yeah, it's a learning curve, and the thing is that it's how is the company willing to take that? You know what I mean? Like, again, for me, the reason I have a little bit more hype on this because they've started from the ground up again. So even though that we may see some animations that are the same, I still feel and hope that there's a bit of an overhaul on how AI plays out, on how developing mode will help us e-feds, how creative mode would help us. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot to it that I hope it will be implemented, but we won't know until January. You know what I mean? So, and that's when I can be like, that fucking sucks.
Yeah, I guess we sort of have a month to wait. Maybe if they release it by end of January, like gives a 1 minute video, like
that's fine. That's another minute video. Fine. All right, that's great. Then we'll start we'll start actually like piecing it and taking shots and be like frame by frame by frame by frame.
My God,
I didn't do that with the other one, I swear.
The teaser of the GM mode, and I remember like not even GM mode, the control scheme that they showed. It was such a small window for the control scheme to look at. People had to like pause and like, oh, there it is. There's a control scheme.
Oh, I got it as well.
And I was like, geez, I
went through the whole thing and taking pictures as well and everything. Like, it's just...
It's like it was fucking quick. I'm like, why? And it's good because the control scheme has changed. Because, you know, you have like dodge, you have block, which is interesting for a fighting game because that's what a fighting game has.
That's a little different. Like, the block and dodge... it's not a fighting game. That's, you know what I mean? Like, so if I start throwing punches galore at you and then you're just blocking it, you know, I'm assuming it takes away from your stamina. I'm assuming any little dodge you do takes away. But I'm like, it's not necessarily, like, it is wrestling, but it's not wrestling. Like, it seems a little out of place for me. They tried something new. I'm like, all right, we'll see how it is. Not that I'm going to use it because I don't play the actual game. I just do e-feds, but still. But yeah, it's interesting. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah. I mean, the AIs can even use, if they can, but the AI can even utilize the blocking and the dodging, which is new because, again, as I said, it's more towards fighting games and how fighting games are done. So I don't know, but it's just one of those things where when they show these new things, they show it so quick. And it's so hard to sometimes even see. So when January, when they show something new, it's gonna be like pop 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 pop. Like, oh, thank you so much.
So I don't think a lot of people really notice this. Next time you watch the video, the last one they said they released, and you see the part where you have Montez Ford and Big E doing the punches, and Big E ducks under, and the camera backs away. Which, by the way, looks like it's a new view for the ring now.
Yeah.
It's not the far camera; it's a little bit more closer. Which I don't mind, actually. I don't mind that one. But when it goes back to that camera, for some reason, if you look at the referee, his head is looking this way when the action is over here. And then the head just flips forward. I saw that, and I took a picture of it, and I tweeted it. And I'm like, this is a good start. This is a good start.
So the referee is still going to get fucked and bumped down.
Man. I looked at the ref, I'm like, why are you looking all the way out there? Why is your neck broken? And then just pops back in. I'm like, oh, no.
So I guess when somebody's submitting someone and the referee's probably going to show his ass to their face.
That's, pretty much. I'm not surprised. To be honest with you, though, when that stuff happens, it's a good laugh. It's just a very good laugh.
That's the way. That's the way WWE works. So that's how referees work in WWE. But yeah. True. It's just one of those things. Sometimes people just notice some things here and there. Like, for example, the hair, which a lot of people looks good. For me, it looks fine. But I do not know because Edge's hair looks good. I do not know everybody else's and how that is gonna glitch through a t-shirt or title's gonna glitch through a t-shirt.
Yeah, to be fair, let's be honest here. I know everyone wants everything so perfect.
Yeah.
This is you're talking a lot of like different mechanics in animation and hair and everything. Like there is collision particle effects going on with hair. I'm not an expert in any form, shape, any way, shape, or form with hair and collision and animation and everything of that nature. Even though I graduated in computer animation and post production, but still, that was a long time ago. But like you gotta know that there's always gonna be some issues with that type of stuff because there's so many variables with that like yeah, you're gonna get glitched, you're gonna have problems with it, it's gonna start freaking out at some point. But like I don't know. I'm not looking for perfect. Like if I see glitches with hair, it's anticipated for me at
Yeah.
least.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Again, what I
Mhm.
also want, even though I know that they cannot do everything great and perfect because there's no such thing like that. But what they can do, if I don't know, if that's gonna be their like moving forward, how they're gonna handle the game. But if they can like do some updates later on in the game, like after a few months there's some kind of an update to the game like that fixes something. Like I know like when the game comes out after a few weeks there's a patch, after a few weeks there's another patch, but there's maximum like 3 to 4 patches and that's it. So I like kind of, if they can develop the game over the years, give some updates here and there as every game does nowadays. So just give small updates that can fix some of these issues. That will be helpful for them because in the long term
Yeah,
that's going to help.
like the problem is here is the company looking to do yearly releases again.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things you can do. If when it comes to graphic wise, this is coming out on brand new consoles and everything, so graphically it's going to look phenomenal. You can't really improve a lot on graphics moving forward. Like you can tweak things here and there, you can
Yeah.
make things a little bit more streamlined, so on and so on. I really do feel that the game in itself, and I know you want to talk about this microtransactions business that's been talked about,
Yeah.
but I feel the game itself should actually be one that's stuck with for a couple of years and update periodically to incorporate new talents, to incorporate new arenas,
Yeah.
new names, new this, new that, new whatever, for either a small fee, because I know you have to upkeep servers. Like there is a dollar value for upkeeping servers for people putting in images that they can load into the game. So there's an upkeep to almost every single game. I hate how people are like, I don't want to pay more. I get it. But if you want this type of feature, I would recommend them to implement something where it's either a very small fee or you can buy a small little package like a season pass type of thing where for the year,
Mm.
if there's any changes that happen to the product, they'll be affected in your game as well. And
Yeah.
if later on down the line you can't buy a season pass this year, but you can buy next year, you buy next year, then whatever happened the year prior and this year you get the updates for. So I think that should be one thing that should be implemented in the game to allow us to get not only I'm talking this in the way of like talent updates
Mm.
when it comes to mechanical or not when it comes to like updates when it comes to gameplay and mechanics and everything, that has to be free. That's just how that
Yeah.
is. That's a
Yeah.
free update. But like if you want this game to stick around for years to come and you want to still make a reoccurring revenue on this, I feel a season pass for continuous updates to arenas, to characters, to all that stuff would be a smart move for them rather than just releasing another game and then
Yeah.
releasing another game and then releasing another game. If you have updates to a certain mode, do it via season pass or do it via via the free updates. You know what I mean? Like give us something and mold this game into a perfect wrestling game rather than just guessing this is the game. Let's put it out there, get their opinions. They didn't like this. Let's make another game, do the changes there, or add or strip a couple of other things, release that. Like, give us a way to get continuous updates to the game that allow us to mold this into a perfect game that a lot of wrestling fans are going to like. You're not going to satisfy everyone. That's just
Yeah.
how it is. You're never going to satisfy every single fucking player that's playing this goddamn game. But you can adapt a model to a game or to any franchise really where you can start molding based off of the feedback and improving that said game and also updating that said game with the current roster because we know what WWE likes to do with rosters, but current roster or just stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like there's ways around it to make it perfect, but is that taken? You know, there's the steps there taken to make it as such or no? I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
that's the thing is like if WWE wants it or no, when we like there are examples so many that WWE like oh they're doing it like for example EA is still doing FIFA's or every year or 2K themselves doing NBA every year or when they're like oh these companies are still doing their games every single year why are we stopping or something like that. So I don't know if WWE is gonna go in that direction.
What's different between the years? That's what kills me. That's what is different? The problem is people will still buy it because it's a 2K product, 2K NBA product, or 2K hockey product. Right? They'll buy it because of that purpose. But it's like, what is the actual difference? What has been changed? There are some that have different type of game engines. You know, if you go from one console to another console, there's a different definite game engine update. There's better graphics and everything. But if I have a console and there's just one game, then there's another game, then there's another game, but it just
The same
what's
game.
the main difference? What's the fucking main difference? I don't get it.
It's the same game. Like it's not. We are not saying like this is like Assassin's Creed, which is completely different every year, or some
That's
other type of
different,
game.
yeah.
Like that becomes different. But when it comes to sports, I know a lot of people nowadays hate FIFA because FIFA 21 and 22 looks the same and everything is almost the same. So you can see there's a disappointment. Why not just make a better model where you just update as just that update every few months?
For me, I'm not a big sports guy. I don't play a lot of sports games. So if there is an actual big update, I'm not aware of. There's a reason. If there's a reason why it comes out every year like that, I'm just not aware of it. If someone out there is just like, oh no, this is why they do that. Okay, then that's great. Like, give me knowledge as to why they come out every year. But when you have sometimes some games that come out every year, and I've heard it before, where they're like, this game and this game, this same goddamn thing.
Yeah.
I just paid $80 for a new version of the exact same thing I had. That is when it becomes kind of like, do we need it every year?
Yeah.
Like wrestling, I find yes, because every single month, specifically with WWE, you have new
Talents.
not necessarily new arenas, but you have some relatively new looks here and there when it comes to pay-per-views and stuff like that. New style of matches. I hope War Games is in this game as well. Like that will be a very interesting style of match to actually add in there, considering they have implemented them. Even the newer matches that they had on Raw. It was like Raw Underground or something like that. I can't remember what it was. No, hold on. But I'm gonna be honest here. That type of matchup that when I was training under Battle Arts rules, that's actually a Battle Arts rule match where you legitimately try to get the other person to get KO'd or tap out. That's a legitimate style of match. I actually would rather watch that in truthful than the actual matches they present sometimes. But obviously, watch those matches. They actually want someone to fucking tap out, but like not actually like done with story. I want that to actually be a legitimate thing. But yeah, it's are those type of matches in as well. Like I'm curious of like what's in this game. But yeah, I feel that there's just a lot of unknowns right now. I don't know.
Yeah, this game is.
I lost train of thought because of my frustration.
This game is just like that. It's just so much doubts there, even though they have not clearly talked a lot about it. But I hope that in these 3 months they share something more and hopefully get some hype up, because right now we need answers, because they're showing things but there's not enough elaboration. So they need to elaborate a little bit more for people to get even more hyped up.
Yeah, like I'm not expecting everything to be given right away. Like I'm not like the whole little mini trailer they had, was good to satiate us for a little bit. But seeing the new modes, we now can go into speculation mode, which is exactly what we're doing here. We're just in speculation mode of what can be implemented or what's not implemented, and so on and so on. So they have advised January. Hopefully, we'll learn more then to see exactly what we can get in hand and what we can get in play. I'm excited to see what they can get. I'm excited to hear the announcements for it. So with time, we'll see. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's the thing. Hopefully something comes up. But yeah, that is basically all about WWE 2K22. It's all speculation land at this point. Wish they did something more it's so weird, like in video games nowadays, where there's so much more has been shown, and then there's nothing has been shown. But anyway,
have patience, my friend. Have patience.
It's fine. I'm having patience. It's okay. It's only a month, maybe 3-4 months. It's fine. But anyway, thank you everybody for watching or listening to the podcast. It was really fun talking about WWE 2K22. We both love wrestling, and we both love wrestling games. Even when it's done right. But yeah, we love this genre specifically. It's very enjoyable for both of us and for many other people as well. So yes, talking about it is really fun. It's really great, and having him talk about a lot of these stuff, what he thinks, because he had a lot of good points. So that was really great. So definitely do check this man out. Heal Please Heal. He actually streams on Twitch on a regular basis, not only his E-Federation, but he also does a lot of video games. He does Sea of Thieves. He recently did some horror stuff, so he's going all over the place. So it's really fun being in his world of streaming because there's a lot of laughter in that one. So definitely do check him out. The link is in the description about on Heal Please Heal. You can follow him there and watch his streams and enjoy along. If you're having a bad time, do definitely watch him because you're not gonna have that anymore. Everything is gonna turn around and you're gonna smile like, I don't know how, but he will smile. So
You'll also get to meet Nanners. I've ruined your show now. I hate him. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for him to pop up like that. Just sit down.
Yes, that's what you get as well.
Somebody listen to the podcast and be like, "What the hell just happened?"
Like, yeah, it's like, excuse me. Who was that?
It's a banana filter. There you go.
He's called Nanners. He has actually a name.
Yeah he does. Got personality and name and everything else.
But thank you so much, guys, for listening and watching. And we'll do more of this, hopefully weekly. But yeah, sometime more, and we're gonna talk more about these video games on Undisputed Games. So there's much more coming up, and definitely do follow me up on Spotify as well, because this goes on Spotify at the same time as on YouTube. So thank you everybody so much for watching and listening. I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye bye.